Among the dwarves of the Silverdown clan, marriage is not simply about romance, nor is it merely for political advantage or to gain a dowry. When a dwarf of the clan takes a spouse, that dwarf becomes their chief advisor, their companion in battle, their dearest friend, most ardent supporter, and often their harshest critic. Dwarves of the Silverdown clan tend to marry later in life than humans, and stay together until separated by death. Whether the couple is of the highest nobility or the simplest of commoners, a marriage is a momentous event for the entire clan. The couple is celebrated for days, toasted with the finest ale, and showered with gifts. The priests give prayer to Moradin that their union be strong, and to Baranar that it be filled with love. Stay with us as we speak of one such couple. Hi, everyone, and welcome to a ceremonious episode of
The Dungeon Crashers.
I'm Guy.
And I'm Zapeel. Before we get started, remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our exciting D&D content. Our last episode described a shield maiden of the mountain dwarves and her journey from a rash young noblewoman to a respected matron of her clan. We talked about her taking a spouse and promised we would talk about him this week. Just to clear up any possible misunderstandings, in Guy's campaign, her spouse need not have been a man. Among the dwarves of the Silverdown clan, it is not uncommon for warriors to seek the love of other warriors, or shield maidens, to fall in love with each other, and such relationships are not condemned. In fact, they are considered blessed, because such couples are the ones who foster children of those who have lost their parents to war, accident, or other misfortune. Our particular shield maiden did take a husband, and this is his story. He begins as a young warrior of a noble house who has just completed his martial training and is trading with the priests of Clangeddon. Though not destined to be a priest, he has chosen for religious education rather than apprenticing in a craft. His family line is said to be descended from Clangeddon himself, and every few generations a child is born with silver hair that marks them as the heir of divine power. Because of this training, he begins with the acolyte background, which grants proficiency in the skills insight and religion, and also gives proficiency with 2 languages of his choice. As a mountain dwarf, he already speaks Dwarven and Common, so he chooses the Goblin tongue to speak to those who are often his clan's enemies, and the language of the gnomes, who are good friends to his people, particularly the deep gnomes, who the clan engages in trade with. As an acolyte, he can find welcome and shelter at any temple of the Dwarven gods, as well as healing and other care. As a mountain dwarf, he is trained in battle axes, hand axes, light hammers, and war hammers. He is also trained to use both light and medium armor. He has dwarven resilience, giving him resistance to poison damage and immunity to the poison condition. He has dark vision with a range of 60 feet. His size is medium, and his walking speed is 30 feet. Like all dwarves, he has a natural connection to stone, and his stone cutting allows him to add double his proficiency bonus to history checks involving the origin or nature of stonework. Mountain dwarves gain a +2 bonus to both strength and constitution. Using the point buy, we put a 14 on strength, which is a 16 after the racial bonus. We put an 8 on dexterity. We are going to be wearing heavy armor and can afford a small penalty. We put a 14 on constitution, which the racial bonus will make 16. We put a 10 on both intelligence and wisdom. Though a dutiful student, he is also not the most gifted scholar, and we put a 15 on charisma. This is going to be a very important ability for him, and we will be investing more into it later.
At first level, our hero begins play as a paladin. Though every dwarf of the clan receives warrior training, a few, such as our hero, are called upon as sworn warriors who uphold the values of dwarvenkind. They are granted gifts from the gods so that they can better serve the clan. He gains 2 skills from the paladin list and takes persuasion and intimidation. His divine nature gives him both a commanding presence and an opposing demeanor. While kind-spoken with his friends, his anger is fearsome to behold. His paladin training gives him proficiency with simple and martial weapons and all armor and shields. He is also proficient with wisdom and charisma saves. He's going to use the heaviest armor he can get and a 2-handed weapon such as a great axe, greatsword, or maul. As a paladin, he gains divine sense that allows him to detect any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet, as well as any consecrated or desecrated areas. He can use this sense a number of times per day, equal to 1 plus his charisma modifier. He also gets the ability to lay on hands. He has a pool of hit points equal to 5 times his paladin level, and can use an action to spend these points to heal someone he touches. He can also spend 5 points to heal the subject of 1 poison or disease. Upon completing his training, he is assigned to a group of other warriors under the command of a young noblewoman of good reputation. She is as brave as she is beautiful, and a fine leader in battle, although he frequently finds himself counseling her not to give in to her impulsive nature. He and his comrades see much battle, as the clan has many enemies, and they win many victories and gain much honor. At second level, the divine power that is his birthright manifests itself, and he becomes a first-level divine soul sorcerer. He gains spellcasting, gaining 2 first-level spell slots. He knows 4 cantrips and 2 spells from the sorcerer list. And as a divine soul, he may also choose spells and cantrips from the cleric list. He chooses his cantrips Guidance, Word of Radiance, Firebolt, and Booming Blade. Guidance is one of the most useful cantrips, and if you can take it, you should. Word of Radiance is useful when surrounded, and since he will be taking on the role of the party's defender, he hopes to be surrounded often. Firebolt will give him a good range attack so that he doesn't have to rely on throwing axes, and Booming Blade is useful in encouraging enemies to stay next to him instead of chasing after his friends. For his spells, he's taking Guiding Bolt and Shield. Guiding Bolt is an excellent damaging spell for its level, and also grants advantage to the next attack against the target. And Shield, combined with heavy armor, will make him a difficult target. As a divine soul devoted to law, he also gains Bless added to his spells known. His divine heritage also makes him favored of the gods. Once per long rest, when he fails an attack roll or saving throw, he can roll 2d4 and add the total to his d20 roll, possibly changing the outcome.
At third level, our young warrior has undergone many trials and becomes second level of paladin. He gains a fighting style, and he learns the interception style. When someone within 5 feet of him is hit with an attack while he is wielding a simpler martial weapon or using a shield, he can use his reaction to reduce the damage of the attack by 1d10 plus his proficiency modifier and hit points. He also learns spellcasting. As he is a multi-class caster, his spell slots will be different from any single-class caster. He uses the table on 165 of the player's handbook. He can cast spells from either of his classes using these spell slots, and since both Sorcerer and Paladin are Charisma casters, he won't have to keep track of which ability score his spells are based on. Currently, he has 3 first-level spell slots, and Paladin are Prepare casters and can prepare a number of spells equal to half their Paladin level plus their Charisma modifier, so 3 for now. Some good spells would be Divine Favor to strengthen melee damage, Armor of Faith to improve his defenses, and Searing Smite to lay fiery destruction on a foe. Instead of casting a spell, he can also use his spell slots for Divine Smite. When he hits an enemy with a weapon, he can expend a spell slot and deal additional radiant damage equal to 1d8 plus another d8 for each level of the spell slot expended. It is customary among the dwarves of the Silverdown to take oaths during the celebration of their 20th name day. For some, this is a promise to uphold a certain ideal that they value. Some vow to never leave a comrade behind in battle. Some swear to never flee before an enemy, or to never be dishonest in their dealings. For those warriors devoted to the gods, these oaths have a deeper meaning. At 4th level, he becomes 3rd level of Paladin. He takes the oath of devotion, swearing to uphold the ideals of honor, value, and justice that are the cornerstones of the Dwarven way of life. 3rd level Paladins gain the use of Channel Divinity, and Devotion Paladins gain Turn the Unholy, which works like Turn Undead but also affects fiends. They can also channel Divinity to create a sacred weapon. When doing so, the weapon he is using is imbued with positive energy. For 1 minute, it sheds bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light in an additional 20 feet. If it isn't magical, it counts as magical for overcoming damage resistance, and he may add his Charisma modifier to attack rolls he makes with it. He also gains the spells Protection from Good and Evil and Sanctuary as oath spells, which he always has prepared, and they don't count against the number of spells he can prepare. As 3rd level Paladins, he gains Divine Health, which makes him immune to disease. At 5th level, his experience and devotion give him greater power, making him a 4th level Paladin, which allows him to take an ability score improvement or feat, and he's going to take the Fey Touched feat. This adds a +1 bonus to Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma, and he's going to make his Charisma 16. It also gives him the spell Misty Step and a 1st level enchantment or divination spell as spells known that he can cast once per day without using a spell slot. For the 1st level spell, he chooses Silvery Barbs, which has many uses both to harm his enemies and to protect his allies. His spellcasting also improves, giving him a 4th 1st level spell slot and 2 2nd level spell slots. Although currently Misty Step is his only 2nd level spell, he knows, his 1st level spells can benefit from being cast in higher level slots. His cantrips improve at this level, gaining additional dice of damage, and Booming Blade now deals 1d8 to the target and 2d8 if they choose to move.
At 6th level, our hero becomes a 5th level Paladin, gaining extra attack, allowing him to attack twice instead of once when taking the attack action. He also can now prepare 2nd level Paladin spells, and some good choices are Prayer of Healing, Aid, and Branding Smite. Gentle Repose can also be useful should an ally fall in battle and there's no one who can revivify them. As a Devotion Paladin, he gains the spells Lesser Restoration and Zone of Truth as oath spells. At 7th level, he's seen a great deal of battle and ventured beyond the northern mountains, questing with his companions in service to the clan. He has formed bonds with his fellow adventurers stronger than even those of family, and of those bonds none is stronger than the one he shares with his commander. He is at her side in every battle, and she seeks his counsel in matters large and small. Even at times of peace, when they are relaxing in the halls, they seek each other's company, drinking side by side, telling tales of their adventures, or playing various tavern games. Her noble father has taken a liking to our hero, and he is often invited to the family home. He becomes a 6th level paladin, gaining Aura of Protection. He and any creature of his choice within 10 feet of him may add his charisma bonus to all saving throws they make. At 8th level, his valor and heroism has strengthened the divine spark within him, and he becomes a 2nd level sorcerer. He gains a font of magic, which are sorcery points that he can use to gain additional spell slots. As he gains sorcerer levels, he will have additional ways to use these. He has a number of sorcery points equal to his sorcerer level. His power as a spellcaster also improves. He gains 2 3rd level spell slots, although he currently lacks 3rd level spells. He may also learn another sorcerer or cleric spell of 1st level, and he is going to take Healing Word to better support his companions in battle.
At 9th level, the divine power of his heritage continues to strengthen, and he becomes 3rd level of sorcerer. He gains metamagic, which allows him to use his sorcery points to alter the effects of his spells. He gets 2 metamagic options. For the first, he takes Quicken Spell, which allows him to spend 2 sorcery points to cast a spell that has a casting time of 1 action as a bonus action instead. He may still only cast 1 leveled spell per turn, but this gives him a number of options. He could cast Booming Blade and follow it up with 2 attacks to unleash fury on his enemies, or at range he could cast Guiding Bolt and Firebolt at the same time. For his second option, he takes Twin Spell, which allows him to spend 1 sorcery point per level of the spell to copy the spell and target a different creature. The spell cannot have a range of self, and cantrips cost 1 sorcery point. This also gives him a number of powerful options. Twin Guiding Bolt can be devastating, as could Twin Booming Blade. His spellcasting also grows stronger as he gains another 3rd level spell slot for a total of 3 and learns another sorcerer or cleric spell that can be of 2nd level. He chooses Scorching Ray for another powerful tool to attack enemies at range. At 10th level, his ever-increasing connection to the divine makes him a 4th level sorcerer. He gains another ability score improvement or a feat, and he increases his strength to 18. Even though he is a strong caster, he is still a melee fighter, and strength is important. His casting also improves as he gains a 4th level spell slot and can learn another sorcerer or cleric spell that can be of 2nd level. He learns Rhyme's Binding Ice for an area of effect attack that deals cold damage and immobilizes enemies. He learns another cantrip and will take Lightning Lure, allowing him to deal lightning damage to an enemy and pull them into melee range. One good way to use this would be to quicken it, and then when the enemy is in range, hit it with Booming Blade to keep them from moving away. At 11th level, our hero has overcome powerful enemies of the clan. He and his companions are now warriors of great renown and are seated with the heroes of the clan at all the great feasts, some of which have been in their honor. He becomes a 7th level paladin. His Oath of Devotion grants him Aura of Devotion, which gives him and all friendly creatures within 10 feet immunity to being charmed as long as he is conscious. His cantrips also improve, again gaining an additional dice of damage. This applies to both effects of Booming Blade, meaning the target takes 2d8 additional thunder damage when struck and 3d8 if they choose to move. At 12th level, his closest friend, his leader, and though he has said nothing of it, the love of his life makes a surprising revelation. She wishes for him to become her husband. Our hero is both surprised and overjoyed, as the rest of his companions are. The marriage feast lasts for a whole week, as clansmen from all over the mountains come to pay their respects, as do the friends from among the gnomes and humans. It seems as though a dragon's horde was looted, looking for gifts that they brought. Marriage into a noble house gives him greater responsibilities, but in truth he has long been helping his friend, now his wife, to carry them out. Though there is much talk of children, they are both young and not yet 50, and there will be time for that later. Although thankfully the priestess of Baranor can provide a charm that will allow them to practice the art of children making without needing to conceive them. He becomes an 8th level paladin, gaining an ability score improvement or a feat, and he's going to increase his charisma to 18. Not only will this aid in his casting, it will help him fulfill his obligations as a husband of a noblewoman. He also gains a second 4th level spell slot that can not only be used to power up his lower level spells, it can also be spent for powerful smites.
At 13th level, his divine heritage begins to manifest itself even further. His beard gleams as if made of mithril wire, and his eyes seem to hold silver fire within them. He becomes a 5th level sorcerer. He gains a 5th level spell slot and can learn a cleric or sorcerer spell of up to 3rd level. He learns Fireball for a powerful means of dealing with large groups of enemies. That is especially strong when cast using that 5th level spell slot. At 14th level, he gains yet another gift from his divine soul, becoming a 6th level sorcerer and gaining empowered healing. Once per turn, when he or anyone within 5 feet rolls dice to see how many hit points are restored by a spell, he may spend a sorcery point to reroll any number of these dice. He gains a second 5th level spell slot and can learn another cleric or sorcerer spell of up to 3rd level, and he takes Spirit Guardians, surrounding himself with angelic spirits that deal large amounts of damage to enemies in a radius around him. At 15th level, his divine soul grows even stronger, and he becomes a 7th level sorcerer. He gains a 6th level spell slot and can learn another sorcerer or cleric spell that can be up to 4th level, and he chooses Fire Shield that allows him to surround himself with an aura that protects him from either flame or frost and damages enemies that strike him. This doesn't require concentration, making it a very useful protection. And at 16th level, his magical powers continue to grow, and he becomes an 8th level sorcerer, gaining an ability score improvement or feat, and he increases his constitution to 18. Adding sorcerer hit dice to a melee character can be a problem, and the extra hit points from constitution will make a big difference. This will also help with constitution saves, which include concentration checks, and he uses some important spells that require concentration. He also learns another cleric or sorcerer spell. It can be of up to 4th level, but he chooses Blink from the 3rd level for another powerful defense that doesn't require concentration. And at 17th level, he's become a great hero and leader among the clan. While once he was proud to be seated with the great warriors of the clan, he is now one of the great warriors that the young heroes are honored to be seated with. His powers are growing as steadily as his renown, and he becomes a 9th level sorcerer. He gains a 7th level spell slot and can learn a cleric or sorcerer spell that can be up to 5th level, and he learns Holy Weapon, which allows him to imbue his weapon with divine energy, dealing radiant damage to enemies he strikes with it, and he can even unleash this energy in a searing flash of blinding light. His cantrips improve for a final time, gaining yet another dice of damage. This makes Booming Blade deal 3d8 additional thunder damage to the creature struck and 4d8 if it chooses to move. One interesting trick would be to strike a creature with Booming Blade, and then quicken command to make it flee, triggering the extra damage. Some DMs say this is force movement that wouldn't trigger Booming Blade, but I, and most DMs I've talked to about it, think that movement such as being pushed or pulled doesn't trigger it, but any movement a creature uses an action to take does trigger it, even if they were frightened or charmed into moving.
At 18th level, our noble hero is content with his life. He and his wife are happy and well respected among the clan. Having reached a respectable age of 80 years, they are thinking of having some children to fill their home and strengthen the clan. He becomes a 10th level sorcerer, learning another type of metamagic, and he learns Transmuted spell, letting him spend a sorcery point to change the damage type of a spell that deals acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder to another one of those types. Our hero uses many spells that deal these types of damage, and switching them around will allow him to exploit enemies' weaknesses or ignore their resistances. He also gains a 7th level spell slot and can learn a sorcerer or cleric spell of up to 5th level, and he learns Mass Cure Wounds to better aid his companions in battle. This is especially useful since he has 6th and 7th level spell slots to cast it in for greater healing, and his empowered healing ability to strengthen it further. He learns another cantrip as well, and Sacred Flame or Ray of Frost would both be useful to have. At 19th level, his Divine Soul grows stronger yet and becomes 11th level Sorcerer. He gains an 8th level spell slot and can learn a Cleric or Sorcerer spell that can be up to 6th level. This is the only 6th level spell he's going to learn, so it is a difficult choice, but he learns Heal simply because of how efficiently it restores hit points to his allies or himself. A Sorcerer can also retrain a spell he knows for another spell that he can cast, and trading a lower level spell for Disintegrate would be an excellent thing to do. There aren't very many spells he would like to give up, but Rhyme's Binding Ice is probably seeing less use because Fireball is better area of effect attack, and Transmute Magic can even make it do cold damage, so that would be my choice. At 20th level, our hero reaches the peak of his power, gaining a final ability score improvement or a feat, and he improves his charisma to 20 to empower his spells and his aura of protection. If you prefer, increasing strength or constitution would also be good choices, as would taking the tough feat. Although he is still in his prime, being less than a century and a half in age, he is ready to let the younger warriors run off chasing adventures while he takes care of his hall and lends his voice to the clan's councils. His children have become warriors and shield maidens and are among those out fighting the clan's enemies and earning renown. His beloved wife stands high among the leaders of the clan, and when not making laws, she spends her time at home with him drinking side by side, telling tales of their adventures, playing tavern games, and practicing the art of children making. We hope you like this build and would like to play it for yourself. Paladin and Sorcerer are a powerful combination. At low levels, the single Sorcerer level gives him some useful and powerful cantrips as well as some important spells and extra spell slots. At higher levels, his Sorcery gives him many tools to both damage enemies and strengthen his friends. They can also be used for extremely powerful smites. His role in the party is to engage the enemy in melee using his armor and protective magic to protect himself while using his interception style. His auras and support spells to guard his friends and using spells such as Booming Blade and Spirit Guardians to control the battlefield. Spells like Divine Favor and Holy Weapon make him even stronger in melee. Guiding Bolt, Firebolt, Scorching Ray, and Disintegrate make him a menace at range, and Fireball can scatter enemies that outnumber him, and he has metamagic to approve all of these tactics.
If you have any questions, comments, or build requests, please leave them in the comment section below. We hope you enjoyed his story, and if you'd like to hear more, join us next week when we build another member of this band of Dwarven heroes, the brilliant wizard that guides them on their journey. And until then, cheers.
Cheers.